Hey everyone, it's Friday, which means it's time to deploy. This is the weekly show that we do here at Octopus Deploy, talking about the latest news relative to Octopus Deploy and, of course, CodeFresh. I'm joined, as always, by Matt and Charlotte, and we're in a new digs again today, so always changing, but hopefully we'll be back in the home office post haste. Anyways, got a lot of great stuff talking about this week, but first, Charlotte, how are things going? How is the AI Pulse report?
Yeah, it's going well. I've been monitoring its distribution, and it seems to be
Yep.
received quite well, which is really exciting. Um, yeah, we've got a few things booked because of that. We've got a few webinars, one with you, John, next week, which is cool, and then one
You're
in
giving away
early
the
April.
punchline.
Sorry. But yeah, so yeah, it's going really well, and
Cool.
I'm still working on some things for it to just push it out there a little bit more. Currently doing some videos, just on quick insights. So we'll see how that goes as well. But yeah, it's been received well so far. So
Very
yeah,
good. And Matt,
exciting.
how are things with you?
Yeah, things are great. I've we were chatting briefly before the show and about things for us to show, and I haven't done that much outward facing this week. I've been sort of heads down in a bunch of our stuff. I've mentioned this before, but we're sort of moving around a lot of the micro sites that we host and moving that between Octopus instances and writing some infrastructure as code and getting it going with some new features and functionality within Octopus itself. So yeah, I've been sort of heads down on that this week. While also battling a bit of a flu yesterday as well, just change of seasons and, seems to happen. So, yeah, fun
I was
times.
just gonna say Matt's been sick, so you can't hold that against him.
Yeah, if there's a few sniffles on the call, I do apologize for that. But John, is this a new theme of yours where you're going to change location every week? Is that
No,
what
not
we're in
no,
now?
not
Or
necessarily. It just today, all right, and last week. Okay, so let's not get too carried away. I mean, we'll be back
okay,
with
And
the bookshelf soon.
was the week before that in Nice?
It was. That's right. So we were
So
we were in
the
France.
record
So yeah,
going.
we're trying to bounce around here. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Awesome stuff. This is live, so if you guys have any comments or questions, etc., I see Jim has just joined us here. Jim, look at that! Through the power
hey Jim.
software, he's joined us. How's it going?
Good. You guys started right on time. I just got back from a dog walk, and you might be able to hear my dog lapping in the background his water bowl, but that will finish shortly, I promise.
Fantastic. That's okay. All good. How was your week, Jim? Things are good on the robust, reliable, and super awesome
Yeah,
deployments.
yeah, really good. Just trying to work out how to land the end of the rollout for that. We're
Stick the
running
landing.
stick the landing. We're running most things in cloud, and just thinking about how to get the rest of it done. Playing with lots of AI. I think I might be turning into an AI at this point. It's
Hey, perfect.
really starting to take off all that stuff. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, all the AIs. It's awesome.
Soon we'll just be
AIs.
joined by one of Jim's assistants.
Yeah,
Not
that's
Jim
right.
himself, so, yeah.
And we were joined by Jim's co-pilot. Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of AI, we've got the Pulse report. We talked about this earlier. Charlotte, this is obviously, some of the stuff that you're working on as well. One of the many reports that we have available for folks to check out. And as Charlotte indicated, we've got some webinars around this. So if you go to octopus.com/webinars, you'll see a page that looks like this. And we have a bunch of webinars that are coming up to a online location near you. So first and foremost, we've got myself, Steve, and Charlotte. We're talking about the Pulse report itself. So that will be next week, March 10th. And we'll be basically going through what's new in the AI Pulse report, which we just released. Then following that, on March 11th, we've got a webinar here that we're going to co-host with the folks over at Cloudsmith. And we'll be talking about building trust from source to ship, your missing link in your golden path. I believe Steve's doing that as one as well. On March 17th, we got a really exciting webinar coming up. This is a live event, 2026.1 release party. So for those who don't know, 2026.1 is soon going to be here. And so we've got various folks from the product team, most notably Ships, Jin, and Michelle, who are going to be joining me talking about what's latest and greatest in 2026.1. This is a really good webinar if you're at all interested. If you don't want to read the release notes and you're kind of like, what's new, and you want to get a demo of it, this is the webinar to sign up for. So make sure to sign up for that. Then later on, we've got Costis and Dan, who are going to be talking about why Argo CD breaks at scale and how to avoid it. And of course, we've got some folks here who are already utilizing it. So we've got on the we got the chat here. I just installed my first Argo CD instance with Octopus. So awesome stuff.
Awesome.
That's awesome to see.
Great.
Yeah, maybe you should attend this webinar. So, yeah. And then Charlotte, you're doing this one with Steve as part of TechStrong. So I imagine you guys are going to be talking about the Pulse report here mostly.
Yeah, so this will be focused on the results from the Pulse report, and essentially it'll focus on what I guess good implementation of AI looks like based on successful and scaling of AI value, return on investments, things like that. So yeah, it'll be we'll go over the overview of some of the results, but yeah, the idea is to focus on real impact and how to do that.
All right. And then we'll be rounding out, I guess, the month. We'll be leaking into April there. But KubeCon EU will be there. This is in Amsterdam. For those folks who haven't been to KubeCon, wonderful event. This is going to be a great event for us to participate in. We'll have a booth there, and it will be part of our event series, which we'll talk about. But Dan, myself, and Steve, and others will be talking about everything that we saw at KubeCon EU. Dan will share, obviously, with everything that goes on with ArgoCon. Dan's the maitre d', so to speak, of ArgoCon, amongst other things. So definitely cool to see that. And we'll have some great insights to share. So that's all available up on on octopus.com/webinars. So there you go. Lots of great stuff that's coming up. And Charlotte, your face is everywhere. So you're going to be very, very popular, very busy.
Yes, definitely will.
Great to see.
Busy month.
Yep.
Yeah. Good.
That's right. So we've got, obviously, the TLDR newsletter, for those folks who haven't seen, is available at tldr.tech. They have a variety of variations of this. If you go to tldr.tech, you'll see a site that looks like this. They talk about the latest news, etc. And they have a bunch of newsletters associated with various topics. So you can see they've got topics around things like DevOps and crypto and marketing, etc., etc. One of the articles which we cited last week, which was this hidden gems of Octopus Deploy, is actually picked up by the newsletter. So there you go. This is a little bit of a popular read there. So a little quick link there on the TLDR newsletter. So that's a good little shout out there for us. Hooray! Made the TLDR newsletter.
Nice one. I always think those are like we said last week when we covered it, those are the sort of interesting articles as well that are showing the, not necessarily underutilized, but like the title says, the gems, the hidden gems sort of thing, the things that you might not immediately think of when you're using the product. So I think that's always the cool stuff. It's kind of like the Argo CD Labs projects, I think they call it, like the things that are adjacent to Argo CD that sometimes will get promoted into the main product, but that's where kind of all the cool, innovative stuff happens before it becomes mainstream. And I've seen a lot of projects that sort of take that approach. They'll have the main product and then a bit of a side thing. But I digress.
Yeah. We actually have a labs project up on GitHub. So if you take a look at Octopus Deploy Labs, GitHubs, etc., we've got our labs here. I'll sign in here. I don't know what is in here. We'll see. We'll find out. But you'll find a variety of other projects, etc., that are available here. So these and other projects we put here. Our Terraform provider used to be hosted there. It's now been archived and moved over to our official archive, to our official org. But these and other things have all started in one form or another in the labs. So you can find this at Octopus Deploy Labs.
So I'm going to take us off on a bit of a side thing here. Can you click on the worker tools repo there, John, for me? This came up for me recently because I needed to run some. So with this microsite work that I'm doing, we're now targeting Azure storage for our hosting endpoint, and I needed AZ copy on my worker where I was running my deployments, and that's not installed on a worker by default. But we've got all these worker tools here, and these are all containers that have different sorts of tools that you might want to use in your deployment. And I needed AZ copy, which wasn't there, so I went and made a pull request, added it in. And now I can use AZ copy along with the Azure CLI in what we call an execution container in Octopus. So instead of having to install those tools every time on your worker or have static workers that you've, keeping up to date and stuff, these containers just get pulled down at deployment time. They've got the tools that you need, and then they disappear after the deployment. So great little segue there. And this is just one of the things that I found in our labs project that I didn't know about until I sort of went digging for it. So
nice. AI Winger says, I used Octopus Terraform Provider. It is awesome. I've used to manage Azure Service Principal client secret rotation. That's always good because those things do have to rotate. So awesome. But yeah, as Matt was saying, these are the worker tool images that you can make available. Obviously, we don't have everything installed by default. Did you work on any of these at all, Jim?
No, we've had to work with them recently to make sure they are still supported in the new pipeline. But yeah, they're really great. I mean, because we kind of know what they are. We can make special allowances for them, make sure they perform well, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, using these over one of your own custom images is definitely the way to go if you can.
Got an interesting comment here from John who says Octopus Deploy is a great product. I've used it since 0.99. Wow. Used it in 2007 to build out and maintain 2055 build servers for Windows Mobile Phone. Fantastic. Wow. That's quite impressive, actually. Long-standing customer. AI Winger also includes, yes, I also use the Octopus/Worker Tools, but I haven't used images from Octopus Labs, so there you go. Yeah, these are available via Octopus Deploy Labs. And as I said before, this is up on GitHub. We weren't planning to talk about this, but there you go. We always assume that people know about these things, but yeah, they're available there. There's a bunch of other stuff in here as well that you could take a look at if you wanted to. But we got demos. We got our CLI Docker image, which was an old thing. Some of these things are quite old and dated, etc. But yeah, the Terraform provider used to be there, but a lot of that stuff's been moved to now the proper locations.
Yep, for sure. And all of those worker tools images are up on Docker Hub for you just to pull down in your deployment process. So you don't necessarily need to come to GitHub. Come to GitHub if you want to have a look at the source code and what's in there, or by any means contribute back to it. But yeah, the images themselves are just up on Docker Hub in the Octopus Deploy organization. Do they call it organizations here?
That's right. We're doing it live, so let's take a look. Yeah, come for the images, stay for the org. So there you go. So these are some of the images you can find up on Docker Hub. We've got, of course, our instance of Octopus Server. This is what we use for a variety of things. We've got other images as well. There are some new innovations around Docker Hub, which we not kind of really related, but it is something that we've talked about. It just reminds me here of this thing. Hardened images are a new feature in Docker Hub. These are things that are critically tested, etc. So that's something you can take a look at. If you see this tag here called hardened image, that's basically a vetted image available through Docker Hub, and I believe it's something that we've looked at as well. So, but you can see all the images that we have here through Docker Hub, which is cool. Awesome stuff. Let's shift over to our blogs. We have more Octopus Easy Mode blogs from Matt Casperson. This one's on channels. Basically, he's showing out how to use AI Assistant with prompts. So here, this is the prompt that Matt's provided here. Create a script project called X, and then define a lifecycle called Y, and then add a channel called Z that uses the Y lifecycle. So you can see the result of this is etc. But these and other sorts of prompts you can easily do. And this is one that is showing how to use it with channels. And of course, it wouldn't be anything without lifecycles. Of course, lifecycles are a critical aspect, obviously, of projects when defining these things. So you define a project here called auto deploy. You create a lifecycle called auto deploy that includes the development phase. I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. The development phase with the development environment as the first phase, test phase with the test environment, production with production, etc. Define a channel called application that uses the auto deploy lifecycle, etc. So that's how this is used in the context of the AI Assistant. And if you're not aware, the Octopus AI Assistant is actually up on our main page, which is our use case. All these are listed at AI-tools. So if you go to octopus.com/AI-tools, you'll find a page that looks like this. We have everything there from the recovery agent, which is built into Octopus, everything from that to the AI assistant. All these videos I did, so you can blame me for them. If you don't like them, too bad. And we've also you may not have known this, but Charlotte, we just linked in here the AI Pulse report at the bottom of the page. So there you go.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And it's also on our top banner here. So Charlotte's all over our website, which is great.
Perfect. Thank you.
I didn't do it. You can thank Tegan. She did that. All right. Moving right along, Matt, this is a blog post that highlights your interview with Matt here for Inside Platform Engineering. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, for sure. So this was a great discussion. It was on a topic that's in my heart, which is infrastructure as code, and it was all things around Terraform. from the platform engineering angle. So again, I've just tried to put out this in different modalities. So if you're one that likes to listen or watch, there's the YouTube video there, as you can see. If you're one that likes to read, I've just recapped some of the key things that Matt and I spoke about in the discussion, which, as we can see, we're along the lines of stop reinventing the wheel. And it turns out everyone's infrastructure, especially cloud infrastructure, isn't really that different from each other. Like, we all sort of use the same stuff. And do we all really need to write our own Terraform modules that do kind of exactly the same thing? Maybe not. So some interesting things that came up in the discussion with Matt. So Matt runs a consultancy company, and all they do is pretty much infrastructure as code with large scale companies. So they've seen and done a lot of really interesting stuff at scale. So
awesome. Just saw a couple of comments here. One from John asking STIG images. I'm not familiar with this. Sorry, John. Maybe you might want to elaborate there on that acronym. I'm not familiar with that acronym. And then AI Winger says, any thoughts of using OpenClaw to manage Octopus? That's interesting. So for those folks who aren't aware, OpenClaw is available at openclaw.ai. This has been Peter, the original author of this, has joined Anthropic. But basically, a lot of people are using OpenClaw to do AI for their own personal workflows. I have not seen this used with Octopus. Maybe at some point we'll see. It might be interesting. But if you're at all curious about what OpenClaw is, it's basically the ability to run models locally, etc. You can use it to manage. It's got a bunch of integrations built into it as well. So if you're wanting to do things like, work with your various your various IM chat interfaces with Twitter, with Spotify, etc. People are doing it for a lot of personal workflow development to have AI develop. Of course, with all power comes responsibility. There have been some instances where AI through OpenClaw has gone a little bit haywire. In fact, one of my more favorite ones of these is there was a Kleinpocalypse, or what was it called? It was Klein. It was this one here. This actually hit the internets earlier today. There was an issue where this is more an NPM, and this is solely a sidetrack, but I just spotted this one today. Basically, what this is there's an NPM package for Klein that got added to the package.json file. And what they did was they installed OpenClaw as part of this. And then they used a script injection attack via a GitHub issue title. So the title of the GitHub issue is what allowed a takeover of the local instance of OpenClaw running on people's machines. And then they did that to basically steal a variety of things, including tokens and the lot. So AI is now installing AI. So if you want to read more about this, you can check out this post. There was a follow-up from the developers of Klein, which is a CLI tool rather. They called it Kleinjection. This is something that you can take a look at here. This is the follow-up for that. But cool stuff. Anyways, total sidetrack, but great question altogether.
On the note of OpenClaw,
go ahead.
How are those integrations being built? Do you know, John? I haven't looked into it. Like, do you need to actually build something in, or is it using like CLIs under the hood here, or is it using
it's built? So I don't know why that skill is not resolved, but yes, mostly it's based on CLIs, a combination of skills, etc., which are ways of supplementing your context window with abilities for your AI agents to run. So you can see some examples here. So let's take Google Chat for an example. So this is utilizing obviously API key. It's kind of more, this is like compiling the kernel for Linux. It's a little bit more hands-on. If you want to use Twitch, for example, you can utilize some integrations there. So they have a plugin library, etc., that you can use, or they can do hands-on stuff. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Another comment here, Friday deploys plus strict RBAC, a stress-free weekend. It's all about having the right governance guardrails in place. Thanks for the insightful episode. Awesome. Yeah, we there is a reason why we call this Deploy on Friday. For part, it's because we actually recognize the fact that deploying on Friday is fraught with danger unless you use a tool like Octopus. Your tools, your deployments with tools through things like Octopus should be stress-free, error-free, etc., and have the ability to roll back. So Friday deployments shouldn't be a problem. That's part of the reason why we call this show Deploy on Friday. But there you go. Thanks for the comment. John followed up on the STIG acronym, which is the DoD-approved hardened images usually based on Red Hat. Yes, I've read about this. I have not used them, but I don't know if they're available up on Docker Hub. The hardened images are a similar sort of concept. They're vetted. There's all kinds of ways in which to utilize them. So good stuff. Awesome. There's another question. Sorry, the questions keep coming in fast and furious. Do you have some sample app to deploy a chatbot with the Octopus MCP server? Excuse me. I have not seen an example app done this way. We do have the MCP that you can use. This is available up on GitHub. Let me quickly find it here for you. So if you go to /octopusdeploy/MCP server, we recently did add a capability, which is to create and deploy releases. So in our latest version, which hasn't been updated yet, but we have turned it on, you can actually now create and deploy releases using the MCP server. This is something that you can use. If you want to install this into a tool like Cursor, for example, you can certainly do that. But a sample app could just be anything, like a console application, etc. if you want to. It depends on what you're wanting to ship. But I would just, stub out a hello world and start from there, and, away you go. Oh, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. I apologize. Sorry.
Here we go.
You guys have to speak up. I was trying to show a screen here. Sorry. So to relate to the question, this is the MCP server we have up on GitHub, and you can check it out. And we just added create and deploy release.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, in its
stuff.
first revision, everything was read only, basically, as a gentle way to introduce this, right? So yeah, we've only just started supporting some of those operations that aren't read only. So yeah, I'm not sure if we can do like the full deployment in terms of, you'd need to create a project and create the environment around it, but maybe that's something you could use the AI assistant for with Matt Casperson series that he's
That's
got.
right.
So
Yeah. So just relate to this. If you're going to run these tools, you have to give it the flag -- no read only. It's kind of like a double negative if you think about it, but it works. This is what you do to enable the tools, and then you can embed it directly into a tool like Cursor, for example. I've shown many examples of this. Maybe I should do a video about this, huh? What do you think? Maybe I'll do a video about that, and we'll put it up on the YouTube channel, and you can check it out at your own leisure. So that'll be great. So we talked about Matt. Go ahead. Sorry
to jump in. There was a comment came back through that I'm just looking at now, and I think it was along the lines of the one before that. Sorry. Wondering if it's easy to deploy it as a chatbot on the Octopus UI, and that's probably where the AI assistant comes into play. So that's the Google Chrome plugin that we've got. That is the assistant, like a chatbot interface that you've got in the Octopus UI.
Right.
So that is the AI assistant. And that's the one that John showed earlier as the Chrome extension. So if you haven't seen that one, go ahead and grab that. We've got some documentation for it in our docs, but here it is here. You just add that into Chrome, and then you'll notice down the bottom right, whenever you're logged into Octopus, there's a little, I don't know what to call it, AI icon. We're all using the little sort of same thing these days, and you just launch that.
Sorry, you got it, the big screen here. So if you go down here, sorry, you'll see, sorry, it keeps going back. I'm trying to scroll carefully. Don't go back, Chrome. Okay, sorry. You'll see this icon here, the stars. So that's the universal symbol of AI now. So, great stuff. Yeah, so the AI assistant is available up on Chrome.
The failure analyzer that's been built into the product now as well.
Yeah, that's right. So it's
the recovery agent, which is coming out soon, right?
That's right. So we keep bouncing around here, but let's take a look at the let's take a look at the samples instance here. We'll just take a look at how this works. So if you go to samples.octopus.app, we didn't plan on talking about this, folks, but there you go. We'll talk about it anyway. Who cares? Let me go ahead and sign in. And we'll go to a failed deployment. This is the only time you'll actually see the recovery agent show up in Octopus. But if you haven't seen this before, this is what it looks like. So let's take a look at a project that hopefully we have a deployment that failed. we need a failed deployment. There we go. We got a failed deployment. Perfect. Okay. So if we have a failed deployment here, what we can do is we can actually, you'll notice the recovery agent here pops up and says, hey, I can help. And so, I'm sorry, I won't zoom in more than that. If I click on suggest a fix, it will then analyze our task logs, and then it will suggest what may not have worked and how to resolve it. And it looks like it's taking its time. That's okay. It normally doesn't take this long. So it's gone through the task logs here. It's saying the deployment failed because package acquisition for the update images, failed. How to fix. Sorry, it just scrolled on me in the background there. So there we go. So it could not, and it could not run on the least dynamic worker. Server log shows that the built-in worker not supported, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, that's basically how it works. We expose the the recovery agent inline for failed deployments. So that's something you can check out. Getting lots of questions here, which is fantastic. Just another follow-up here saying, I have seen the Chrome extension, but I would like to deploy my own chatbot with RAG and MCP. Gotcha, yes. That might be a bit tricky. Because we don't have an extension protocol into the interface for Octopus, and that's part of the reason why we implement it as a Chrome extension. The other reason why we did that was because, obviously, we don't want to muck with the interface too much if we don't have to. John also followed up here from DoD. I have built them out, but Red Hat commercial images would help for those who do not have DoD edge cans. Very good point. Maybe I'll raise that up to the team. So great stuff. Awesome. Let's move on. We've got some events that are coming up. So in March, we just passed this event. We were at DevOps Live London. Lots of photos there, which is great. Steve and others were there manning the booth. As I said before, we've got KubeCon coming up at the end of the month. This is in Amsterdam. Be there or be square. We'll talk about this on our webinar. Don't forget, if you can't attend, you can listen to folks like myself and Dan talk about it. We've also got PlatformCon coming up in June. We're going to be co-hosting / I think we're going to be one of the satellite hosts, I don't know. But it's an online and in-person combination. So PlatformCon, those folks who are keen on platform engineering, this is brought to you by the folks at Humanitech, etc. So that's something that we're keen on. And of course, we've got KubeCon Japan, which is in July. I know a lot of us here are very keen on this as well. So great stuff. And events here, I just had to bring this up. This was up on our LinkedIn. DevOps Not Dead. This is an event that Steve's going to be a part of. He's going to be speaking very soon. I love this picture of Steve. So there you go. DevOps Not Dead, London. If you're in London, join us. Steve will be there. Probably not riding an octopus, but there you go. I love the fact that you can be underwater smiling with no bubbles. Perfect.
Yeah, he's done quite well in that photo, to be honest. So great job.
Yeah, I'm liking the whole Aquaman garb here. This is kind of nice, Very cool. Perfect.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Awesome. So we talked about labs. We talked about a bunch of other things. I think there was another link I was going to include, but we've just kind of gone off the script here.
Distracted you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, let's go ahead and let's now move over to Support on Friday. All right, so this is a part of the segment where we take a thread, post it in our Vice channel. By the way, if you want to join our Slack, you can do so by visiting octopus.com/community. There you'll find a link to join our Slack channel. There we have a bunch of channels you can post questions on a variety of topics. Hash Advice is the one where folks will, it's like a general Q&A. So Justin here has written many times before, is it possible to get a bigger dynamic worker memory-wise? And Sean, who always there, I don't know what it is with the support team, etc. They're like they're in a race to try and see who can answer the quickest. So Sean here, right? The size of the dynamic worker is tied to your task cap. So for those who don't know, and Jim, you can speak to this, your task cap is basically the maximum number of tasks it can execute as part of an Octopus instance. Jim, do you want anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's the basic way we control for how much work the instance is doing. It's an interesting point, though. It's actually also how many targets you're deploying to at the same time. That's the most interesting way to think about how much work you're doing at any one time.
Yep. And then the variance of that can also change if you're in a high availability scenario, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The way the work sort of gets distributed amongst the nodes and all that sort of stuff. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyways, that's
pretty
a
big topic. I don't want to go too far.
getting very, very academic now. Anyways, so you need to increase that. What's interesting, and I didn't know this is on our roadmap. So Sean pointed very well to our roadmap. I'm just going to bring it over here. So on our roadmap, we actually have, and I don't know if you were aware of this, Jim, but this might relate to you. Higher resourced, more secure dynamic workers for Octopus Cloud.
This is very much front of line for us at the moment. So anyone out there who's thinking about this, I'd really encourage you to click that bottom button on the bottom of this little card down there that says it's important or critical to us. Yeah. There are some really great ways if you, before, I don't know, sidetracking again, why not? Like with the Kubernetes agent we've got now, if you can manage to spin up a Kubernetes cluster in cloud somewhere and put the Kubernetes agent, that's a really great way to get yourself a nice scalable set of workers. Right.
Understood. Huh. All right. I've lost my place. Let me jump back here. So, do you happen to know if what the size is of the task cap of 5 dynamic workers? So 2 CPU and 4 gigabytes of RAM according to the resourcing chart. This is available up on our docs, so you can take a look at the parameters around dynamic workers here. So you can see two types of workers you can have. You can have external and dynamic workers. For dynamic workers, here's our resourcing chart. So if your task cap, which is allocated to you based off of your subscription/license, is that right?
Yep.
We changed it a little bit, but anyways, you can see if the task cap is a certain value, you can see the number of virtual CPUs you have as well as the amount of memory you have available. This is, of course, in the Octopus Cloud. So that will vary depending upon how you're using it. Again, coming back to the conversation, gotcha. Any docs on pricing upgrading to 10? I can always reach out to the sales team, blah, blah, blah. It's a conversation with your sales rep. Okay, send an email. But since I have you, I have one more question. I'm looking at about setting up ephemeral environments. I know, Matt, you're looking into this recently, but I can't seem to understand it completely. And I'm wondering if I can schedule someone's time to set up a project and replicate them from there. So this is really interesting because ephemeral environments are something that, Matt, I know you've looked at. And the way that they work primarily is they're based off environments. And so they're basically, well, Matt, why don't you tell us, how do ephemeral environments work within Octopus?
Yeah, sure. So you have an environment in Octopus, which we call the parent environment. And then all of the ephemeral or temporary environments are kind of sub-environments under that one. So the parent environment is the one where you set some of the rules that you want each ephemeral environment to follow, and then underneath that you don't really care what goes on. So yeah, this is exactly what we're looking at. So when you set up a new environment, you'll be asked, is it a normal environment or is it going to be a parent environment for those ephemeral environments? And if you set up the parent environment, you will then get some controls on the settings that you want for the ephemeral environments, including, do you want the automatic deprovisioning, for example? So if an environment has been sitting there without a deployment for a week, we'll tear it down so that it doesn't incur cost if you're using things like cloud resources and such. And
yeah, you can see the difference between the two here.
Yeah, that's right. And so now if I wanted to create a new ephemeral environment, there's some setup I'd want to do. So the way that we do it is we use our run books. So the idea is that you have a provisioning and deprovisioning run book. So in there, you would have the steps needed to create an environment and also delete the environment, which is where you can set them up on the parent environment, which run books you want to call. And then if I wanted to create a release to one of those environments, that's where I'd use a different channel that gets set up, and that targets that ephemeral parent environment, which then in turn spins up the temporary ephemeral environment underneath it. So for the first time, I can see it getting a little bit confusing. Just you have to set up some new resources, but the team have actually modified that workflow, I think even since I last used it, to be really good in terms of a wizard of here's the things that you need to set up for ephemeral environments. We'll take you through the whole thing. And then you've got your parent environment, you've got your life cycles and your channels there ready to go for it. So yeah.
Another question here is I've tried ephemeral environments. It is great and it worked better with Kubernetes. I believe provisioning VMS is very time consuming.
Yeah, That's a really interesting topic because I've got a talk coming up. I'm going to promote myself here for a bit at NDC Sydney at the end of April. And I'm in the ideation stage of this. I've got lots of thoughts around it's on ephemeral environments, and the title is Easier Said Than Spun. And one of the things that I want to talk through there is like, what do you want these ephemeral environments for? What are you trying to do in the environment? Because like mentioned here, some of these environments can take a long time to spin up. I spent a lot of my life in Azure, and I think it's a lot better now, but for anyone out there that's ever spun up API management in Azure, APIM, it could literally, sometimes it was over an hour when you would first request the resource. So if you're doing that with infrastructure as code, you then start to run into some interesting things like timeouts in pipelines and all sorts of other fun stuff that, just can make it really difficult. So the question for me really comes down to what is it that you're trying to achieve with this environment, and therefore how much of an environment do you need to spin up? Do you need every component in your environment, or do you just need like a core service of it to test? Like, are you looking for visual changes if it's a website or a dashboard or a front end or something like that? Or do you need multiple components if you're trying to test integrations? And so I think that, understanding the why is really key to when you get into ephemeral environments. What are you trying to achieve out of it? So, yeah.
Another follow-up question for provisioning, deprovisioning runbooks. Do you have any sample runbooks to share? I believe we have a sample set up with ephemeral environments in our samples instance, I believe. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's one in the samples instance. Yeah, if not, there is a webinar. I'll grab the link in a second. I'll drop it in the chat. There is a webinar that I recently
did a demo.
Where we do a demo of that just as an example. But we may also have some things in our docs as well. But like really, the run book for provisioning and deprovisioning is just related to what infrastructure you're using. So as a quick example, the ones I've been working on recently are for static websites. So I've got some Terraform that will spin up an Azure storage account, enable the static website component on that, and that's about all that it does. And deprovision of that literally just runs Terraform destroy, and uses the state file to get rid of it. But I've seen our team use examples of just running kubectl in there because they're creating a new namespace, ephemeral namespace. They spin up the containers, and the deprovisioning script is just kubectl, remove the namespace or delete namespace. So, yeah.
This is turning into help us sort of segment now. I guess maybe we should do it. So ephemeral environments for feature branch testings. This is certainly something you could look at for sure. You could create a feature branch in Git and then do a deployment to it. And totally a safe and sane way of establishing ephemeral environments that you can test against for sure.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions. That's what happens when you start answering them live. So there you go. Go off on different tangents, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That was great. We all got lots of stuff there. So if you didn't happen to catch the beginning of this, don't worry. You can go to our YouTube channel. It's available at /YouTube/OctopusDeploy, which I'll just show here quickly. You can see that we're live right now. Got a bunch of videos there. Also got our upcoming live streams, which I mentioned earlier. We've got shows like Argo Unpacked. We've got our webinars, etc. So make sure to check that out. Like and subscribe, as the kids like to say. And you can check out the recording of this after the fact if you so wish. But anyways, until next time, I think we'll wrap this up. We'll see you next week, on another episode. I cannot talk today. I don't know what's going on. On another episode of Deploy on Friday. Happy deployments, everyone.